Is it possible that a single moment that appears simple at an airport actually hides an unseen tension? A split second that almost goes unnoticed, yet is powerful enough to change the mood of thousands of people in an instant, even before anyone fully realizes what is happening. That afternoon at Incheon International Airport, an atmosphere usually filled with routine travel suddenly transformed into a space charged with emotion, anticipation, and an energy that is difficult to explain through ordinary logic. The arrival of Jungkook from BTS was not merely the return of an idol from an international trip. It had evolved into a social phenomenon involving thousands of eyes, hundreds of cameras, and waves of emotion moving in unison, as if the entire airport pulsed to the same rhythm. But what really happened in the seconds when the fans began to move closer? A video recording lasting around 70 seconds that spread widely across social media shows a scene that, at first glance, seems ordinary. Jungkook walks casually through the arrivals area wearing a casual outfit, a black jacket with white stripes, a gray cap, a black mask, and a backpack resting lightly on his shoulders. His steps are unhurried, his expression calm, even warm. However, upon closer observation, another dynamic begins to form around him, a wave of people slowly closing in, not all at once but enough to create a tangible spatial pressure. Voices begin to emerge, faint at first, then increasingly clear. Calls of his name, cheers of excitement, and spontaneous requests from fans who have been waiting for a long time. Some mention their experiences in Japan, others bring up Kim Taehyung, and some enthusiastically ask Jungkook to greet Kim Namjoon. In a situation like this, the boundary between private space and public space becomes thinner, almost disappearing entirely. Then that moment happens. Not an explosion, not an extreme dramatic incident, but a small shift that feels immense. The fans begin moving closer at the same time, creating a visual effect that briefly resembles a rush. Cameras shift, footsteps quicken, and the space around Jungkook tightens within seconds. To some, this may look like a moment of chaos, but to others it is an outpouring of unfiltered love. Interestingly, in the midst of a situation that could have turned uncontrollable, Jungkook shows no sign of panic. On the contrary, he continues walking at a steady rhythm, occasionally adjusting his cap, responding to greetings in a manner almost too relaxed for such density. This attitude reflects not only professionalism, but also a rare emotional capability, the ability to remain fully present under collective pressure. One of the most talked about moments appears shortly after the crowd forms. Jungkook performs a gesture known among fans as domain expansion, a reference to Jujutsu Kaisen that has become a small symbolic connection between him and ARMY. The gesture is simple, even brief, yet its impact is extraordinary. Within seconds, the previously tense atmosphere transforms into waves of laughter, joyful screams, and emotional reactions that are difficult to contain. Why can such a small gesture have such a massive effect? The answer may lie in the relationship built over years between Jungkook and his fans. In this context, every movement is no longer just a physical action, but a form of symbolic communication, a wordless language understood only by those who feel part of that shared story. Yet behind the warmth, a lingering question remains. Is a moment like this entirely safe? Crowd phenomena at airports are not new, especially for global artists like Jungkook. Each arrival almost always draws massive attention, creating situations where security systems must work extra hard to maintain a balance between public access and individual safety. In many cases, that line is extremely thin, and even a small shift can tilt the situation in a different direction. In the video, no major incident is visible. There is no extreme pushing, no clear mass panic. However, the emotional intensity present is enough to reveal how fragile that balance truly is. One step closer, one wrong movement, or one moment of lost control could have completely changed the narrative. And that is where the paradox lies. On one side, the moment is filled with warmth, joy, and genuine interaction. Jungkook smiles, responds, and even creates a small memory that fans will carry for a long time. On the other side, there is an invisible tension, a potential always present within large crowds, waiting to be triggered by something that may never happen. Reports from the fanbase account JJK Hype Feed reinforce the positive narrative of the event. They stated that Jungkook arrived safely and in good condition, showing friendly interactions throughout his exit from the airport. The comments that followed were dominated by emotion and happiness. "Welcome home, Jungkook," echoed across digital platforms, as if closing a brief yet meaningful chapter. But does the story really end there? Or does this moment instead serve as a reminder that every interaction between an idol and fans exists between two worlds, between the beauty of emotional connection and the complexity of physical reality? What is clear is that those seconds when fans began to move closer at Incheon International Airport were more than just a viral clip. They were a reflection of something larger, a human connection built through music, time, and shared experience. A connection so strong that it can transform a public space into an emotional stage, where even the smallest gesture carries meaning far beyond what is visible. And perhaps that is where the real surprise lies. That amid the crowd, among overlapping voices and hurried footsteps, there exists a fleeting moment that proves something simple: that the connection between an artist and their fans can be so real, so intense, that even the briefest second feels like a story that will never truly end. The moment did not end when Jungkook crossed the exit line of the arrivals area. In fact, that was where another layer of the event began to reveal itself more clearly, as if what had been visible on the surface was only the beginning of something more complex. Jungkook's steps remained steady, yet the dynamics around him continued to shift. Some fans still tried to move closer, others chose to stop and record from a distance, while security personnel gradually formed a more defined path to prevent the human flow from tightening further. One small detail soon became a topic of extended discussion on social media: how Jungkook maintained the rhythm of his interactions despite the increasing pressure around him. He did not drastically quicken his pace, nor did he ignore the voices calling his name. Instead, he responded in a way that felt almost contrasting to the situation: calm, measured, and as if he were trying to ease the atmosphere without saying anything directly. It was at this point that many fans began to realize something they might have previously overlooked: that the apparent rush was not merely about a physical crowd, but about a wave of emotions arriving all at once. Each person carried their own story. Some had just attended concerts, others had waited for hours just to catch a glimpse of him, and some perhaps never expected to be that close to someone they had only ever seen on screen. When one fan shouted about their experience in Japan and mentioned Kim Tae-young, Jungkook briefly turned his head, giving a short response that triggered a chain reaction. Other voices rose, not in panic, but in a kind of euphoria that was difficult to contain. Requests to greet Kim Namjoon could be heard within the crowd, and although his reply was not clearly audible in the video, a small gesture from Jungkook was enough to make the moment feel personal for many. What is particularly interesting is that after the domain expansion moment, referencing Jujutsu Kaisen, which briefly lightened the atmosphere, a noticeable shift in rhythm occurred. The crowd, which had been slowly moving forward, began to hold back. It was as if a collective awareness emerged spontaneously, that the closeness was enough, that the moment did not need to be pushed further beyond safe limits. This was not something explicitly directed, but rather formed through a unique social dynamic between an idol and his fans. However, alongside that warmth, another discussion began to grow in digital spaces. Some questioned how situations like this continue to repeat every time members of BTS arrive at airports. Is this proof of extraordinary love, or a sign that the boundary between appreciation and invasion is becoming increasingly blurred? The question has no simple answer, as each perspective carries equally strong arguments. When Jungkook finally moved beyond the reach of the main cameras, the atmosphere gradually settled. The voices that once filled the space began to fade, replaced by conversations among fans trying to process what they had just experienced. The video may have ended, but its impact continued, replayed, analyzed, and shared across platforms from countless perspectives.